And now for something completely different. And by completely different, I mean I'm not going to talk about politics this time, although I could. I just watched the State of the Union address. Yeah, I won't explain why I say that. Because what I really want to talk about is my Pedigo bicycle. Okay, just to back up a little bit. A few months ago, I think it was in November, I bought a Pedigo pedal assist e-bike or electric bike. There's an electric motor in it, and I do most of the pedaling, but every once in a while the motor kicks in and gives me a little bit of assist, right? Fun bike to ride. I like using it. Now, when I bought the bike, the man at the dealership said that they arrange group rides occasionally, and they invite people who own Pedigos to go down there, and they're going to do this ride together, stop along the way maybe for coffee or to enjoy the scenery. It's supposed to be leisurely. Well, that was the beginning. That was step one, getting the bicycle. But I wanted to be able to get my bike down to the dealership for these rides, and there's one this Saturday. So I needed a way of attaching it to my car. So when I had my car worked on about a month or two ago, part of the work that I had done was I had them put on a really nice, a good quality trailer hitch. The last thing I wanted to do was to get a bike carrier that would attach to the trailer hitch. But I was coming home from the store one day, and I saw an SUV down the road with a bike carrier on the back with two bikes. I couldn't get into the parking lot and to the car in time to catch the driver. The driver got out of the car and headed into the store, but I was able to walk over to the car and look at the bike carrier. It was a Thule, Thule, made in Sweden. I'll put the name Thule down there for you just in case you want to know. I looked on Amazon. It was available on Amazon, so I ordered it. I ordered it 2 weeks ago. It was shipped. I followed the tracking. It came out of Texas, eventually made it to California. Eventually, it was right here in town. And then it ended up getting onto the wrong truck. So it ended up back in Texas. And I got a notice from Amazon, there's a slight delay in your shipping. They could have delivered it the next day. It was right here in town. So now I had to wait for it again. Well, it did arrive. It arrived this morning. Here's a picture of what the box looked like after it had done a tour of the American Southwest. There's more tape on that box than there is cardboard. I don't know whether they kicked it down a flight of stairs, whether they dragged it behind a horse, dropped it out of a plane. I don't know. It was really badly beat up. And I told the UPS guy when he delivered it, I said, you're probably going to get this back. So I opened up the box right along one edge, very, very closely along the end, and I peeked inside, and of course I saw bent metal. So I got onto Amazon, submitted for a refund, which they approved pending the product arriving back at Amazon or whatever. But I want the bike carrier because this Saturday is the group ride, and I really wanted to go to that group ride, and I didn't want to have to wait again. I looked at a local bike shop that I like. I've bought things before. I got an account over there. They know my name. They have them in stock. Same exact price that I paid for it on Amazon. It's the same price everywhere. Fine, I paid for it, brought it home. So what I want to show you, first of all, this is a picture of the box. This is what the box should have looked like rather than being all beat up. And then what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to show you how I assembled and put my bike on this bike carrier to see how it was going to go. All right, let's get these taken off first. Voila! There should be no damaged parts in there. This is the cardboard that was completely flattened in that other box. Ridiculous. Okay, first of all, I got to show you a problem that I'm going to be working around. This is my car. It's got that big spare tire on the back. That's going to take up a lot of space, so I'm probably not going to be able to get 2 carriers on this one carrier, 2 bike rails. So I'm probably going to assemble it with just one. First thing to do to help with the assembly is to get this located in the trailer hitch. This thing here is the stinger. And by the way, that silver thing right there, I'll explain that in a bit. That's what helps to lock it in. Take this out and then bring it back until it locks into place. Okay, and then I can lift this up. And we're started. This is kind of hard to see because it's all black, but I need to get into this area right here. There's a knob there that right now doesn't do anything, but there's a lock that fits in there. However, to insert the lock, you take the key out, you put this other key in. There you go. That's in there. Take the key out, and then put this key in. Okay, now it's locked. Now what I can do is I can turn this. You'll see this has got a lot of wobble in it. But as I turn this, that wedge that I showed you, that's being fitted up against the inside of my receiver here. You get it nicely locked in place. Wobble, 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 until all the wobble disappears. Then put your key back in again. Unlock the knob. Nobody can steal this thing. They can't get it off easily because it's wedged right inside of the receiver. Next, I need to put my receivers or rails or whatever these are called. Because I'm only going to use one, it doesn't matter which one I use. I want to use the one that's going to give me the front wheel to the left. So I'll get this started with a couple of screws. Before I lock these down all the way, I have the advantage of adjusting it left to right by several inches to make sure it'll accommodate my bike. These are starting to get difficult to turn because there's some locking substance on there that will help them prevent them from backing out with vibration. But you should, every once in a while, check it and make sure that everything is okay. Over here is where the front wheel carrier goes. The front wheel is going to sit in there, but to get that screwed in, I'm going to need to hoist this back up again to make it easier to get to the screws. These use a self-threading screws. Make sure that that lines up right, and start working these in. One more. Okay. This, by the way, goes on only one way. You can't put it on the wrong way. It fits on only one way. Tighten these down without tightening them too much because I am screwing into plastic. And I could strip these out. This is the device that locks down the rear wheel. It can go on either way, but obviously you want the adjustment thing to be on the outside. You slide it on till that hole is exposed. I got to put a screw in there that'll prevent this thing from coming off the end. And that is accomplished with this cute little end cap. That slides into the end. There we go. Slides in, hole lines up. Same thing, I use one of these self-tapping screws to hold that in place. And that's in place. I think that's it. I think that's all the assembly. Let me look at my parts to see what's available, make sure that everything is in place, and we'll talk about mounting the bike onto it. One issue is how to get my spare tire carrier closed. One of the things I like about this is I can lower this down. Now, bring this around. It just clears this hinge. That's locked in place. Now, I can finish up. Over here, there's a locking device. And you have to install the tumbler for the lock. You put the universal key in there. Pull it out. And then put your key in there, the regular locking key, and then you can turn that and lock it. And I'll show you how that works in a bit. The next step is to put the bike on. So I'll get my bike over there. I took the battery out because it weighs 9 pounds. And they tell you you shouldn't transport the bike with the battery in anyways. There's a latch over here. You'll pull that in. Actually, the latch is for this thing. Get this out of the way. Slide it over. Now, get a heavy, very heavy bike up onto that thing. This could be a challenge. Get the front on. Get the back on. Wow. So there. And then, before you go any further, you get this thing locked in place to secure the bike in there so they can't go anywhere. I think that's it. The last step, I'll do that later, is you get your strap out. There's a rubber grommet there. I might as well do it now. You feed it down inside, and then you use that lever to lock it tightly in place. That's it. That's my bike ready to transport, other than to lock down my screws here. And I think I'm just going to lock those down the way they are right now. I have these 4 screws to lock into place. The last thing to demonstrate is the locking mechanism, which is inside of here. There's a cable in here. You can wrap this around the bike. Bring it together like so. Put it in there. Key it. Turn it. And there you've got your frame somewhat locked in there. I mean, to be honest, if a crook is really determined to steal this thing, they're going to be able to do it. But at least this acts as a deterrent. So there it is. That's my Thule bike carrier. It, as far as I can tell, it's going to work perfectly. It fit perfectly. Assembly went really, really easily. As you saw, I only put the one carrier on there, the one rail, whatever it's called. That's all I need. Just one. I've only got one bike to carry, really. So there's my Thule. I'm happy with it. This Saturday I'm going to go on my bike ride. So if you like my vlogs, please subscribe, tell others about it, and thanks for listening.